Hello, Mark.
Hey guys, good morning.
Good morning. It was very exciting for you to be back in Foxborough yesterday.
Yeah, it was great. It was lovely weather, pretty chilly. Had a jacket and a vest on, but nice to see. I don't know, fake football, I would call it, two-hand touch.
Yeah. So, kind of take us into what yesterday's practice, how the setup was, how it was executed, stuff like that.
Sure, in OTAs, there are no pads, there's no contact. It's basically passing camp. You for a large part, it's positional drills. Like Drake Maye throwing to receivers against air. They go over special team stuff, but really the highlight of OTAs and minicamp are always the 11 on 11s. It gives you a look of who the Patriots believe are their starters right now, in May, and it gives you a look at the receivers, the cornerbacks, and of course the quarterback. So yesterday, all eyes were for me one on the offensive line. Who's with Drake Maye to start that practice, and I thought the biggest revelation was Cole Strange back at left guard, which makes sense. But then when it actually starts, it's like, all right, is Drake Maye improved? Who's he throwing to? And probably the story of the day was the fact that Drake Maye threw four interceptions in the practice we saw. And I went back, guys, and looked. I'm like, it seems rare. That's a lot of interceptions. Now I don't know the reason for all of them. Maybe the routes were wrong, but last year in OTAs and mini camps that we watched, Drake Maye threw three, and that was like 4 or 5 practices. Then I went back to training camp and I take these passing stats, which believe me, they're ridiculous. But in training camp last year, I think it was like 14 practices, he threw five total. So like an unusual day for Drake Maye. Four interceptions. He's learning Josh McDaniels' system. Things are a little new. Two of those picks were supposed to go to rookie Kyle Williams. Now maybe he ran the wrong route, but overall it's a non-contact practice. We get sort of a look. It's not real football, but it's sort of a preview of what could come, and hopefully for the Patriots, that means Drake Maye and the offense get better.
What's the difference in the offense? That's one thing that struck me reading yours and everyone else's accounts of what happened yesterday. Josh McDaniels' offense is wildly different from last year, and maybe there is a learning curve.
Yeah, 100%. So in Josh McDaniels' offense, it's up to the quarterback to make the changes at the line of scrimmage. In an Alex Van Pelt system, that's actually on the center. So Drake Maye has the option to audible and change the plays based off the defense he's in. And now for the receivers, they run basically option routes depending on the coverage. So if it's man or it's zone, it is dependent on the route they're going to run. So like for example, the first interception he threw, it went right to safety Del Pettis. And I was like, I think Kyle Williams ran the wrong route because he just wasn't there, and I'm certain the play call was not for Drake Maye to throw it to the safety.
Hmm.
So I think things like that we're gonna see, especially with young receivers. That hey, this offense takes a little time for everyone to adjust to. You really need to say like, all right, what's the cornerback going to do? And that's the route I'm going to run. And I think for a young guy coming out of Washington, maybe that was on him.
So the job is that. So it kind of explain that. So in McDaniel's offense, if you're a receiver, you're trying to anticipate what the corner is going to do, and you adjust your route based on that.
Well, yeah, it's dependent on the defensive scheme in front of you, so you're supposed to know, right? It's like, all right, they're in man coverage. This is the type of route they want me to run versus zone coverage, and it is dependent. Um, I think that's why we've saw over the years, like some receivers get it and they're really, really good at it, and other guys, you just remember like Chad Ochocinco, like the system he ran had success with in Cincinnati. It allowed him to freelance a little bit. There's no freelancing. They want precision routes. Like if you're running a 10 yard route, you have to be at 10 yards. There's no wiggle room for that. And it makes it complicated, but if Drake Maye knows you're supposed to be 15 yards at a certain point in the field, that's where he's going to throw the ball.
So they're timing routes, and you're basically throwing to an area of the field.
Correct.
Okay, and so we should take all these interceptions with a bit of a grain of salt because it's not necessarily Drake Maye misplacing a ball. It could just be he's throwing to a place where the receiver is supposed to be, and they're
Yeah,
not there.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And another one of the interceptions, he was throwing the ball to Hunter Henry. He got picked by rookie safety Craig Woodson. Hunter Henry was immediately like, I got held, and that would have been a flag. So, maybe that one's off. There was like I thought one really bad interception. It was he tried to hit Pop Douglas sort of over the middle, and Christian Gonzalez just jumped it, and it would have been a pick six. Like that was on Drake Maye out of the four. Another one, he went deep to Kyle Williams and kind of overthrew him. And Christian Gonzalez is just so fast, he picked it again. So hey, I'd say this: Drake Maye is going to get better this offseason because the starting cornerbacks, Carlton Davis and Christian Gonzalez, are really, really good. I don't know how many teams on the roster will have a better pairing. So if anything, that's going to help Drake Maye. It's going to help the receivers too.
Yeah, it's interesting because when you talk about Josh McDaniels and his offense specifically, you mentioned the Chad Ochocinco example, and it always seems to be an issue with the receivers not being able to fit into the system. Is it ever, with this type of system or with Josh specifically, has it ever been an issue for the quarterback? Because if they're just timing routes and all you have to do as a quarterback is throw the ball to this spot at this moment during the play and everything should be good, are there any quarterbacks, or are there any examples where the quarterbacks don't necessarily jibe with that style?
I'm sure there are. I think we're just I was so spoiled to start that the quarterback I watched for so long was,
Right.
Tom Brady, and he just did such a great job. And even like Mac Jones. Like Mac Jones was not, everything you hoped he was, but if anything, he was really smart. And that worked with Josh McDaniels in 2021. And I go back to that year and I'm like, man, if Mac Jones did that with Josh and had a career year and was a Pro Bowl alternate, I can only imagine that like Drake Maye is going to pick this up at some point because last year, when I talked to coaches in that building, the biggest thing they told me surprised them about Drake Maye was his IQ and how fast he processed things and how fast he learned. So, like for that reason, I think he's going to get this. And Josh McDaniels, if anything, has shown to be adaptable. He did it with Cam Newton, a much, much different quarterback. And, Cam Newton wasn't the greatest passer in the world, dealing with the shoulder problem that year, but like they still moved the ball on the ground with him. And I'm not saying it's going to get to that point, but I really think that Drake Maye will get it. I mean, hell, Jimmy Garoppolo, that one game he started against was Arizona, and then the half he played against Miami, he looked better than almost he did his entire career. And that was Josh McDaniels. So I think when it's all said and done, Drake Maye is going to be, pretty good in this offense.
How does this year's draft class look? I keep reading about TréVeyon Henderson's speed.
Oh man, I have never seen him live before. He's so fast. Like so fast. They were running these like short little pass plays, like screen passes and slants, and like he gets the ball and it's just like a rocket ship launching. It was really, really impressive. And again, there's no pads on. It's super hard to evaluate running backs, but like how quick he was on the field, I was like, all right, like day one, that's incredibly noticeable. Kyle Williams, he had an awesome catch down the left sideline. I think Craig Woodson was on him, but it was from Drake Maye, and he made this deep catch, beat man coverage, beat the safety. And I'm like, all right, if this kid can make plays like that, he has a chance to play. And then the big one for this offense is Will Campbell. And from day one, no surprise that he's the starting left tackle. Every team rep, he was there with Drake Maye. And then after the practice, the thing that stuck out to me was that Morgan Moses had Will Campbell like one-on-one for a while, and they were just going over stuff, and Will Campbell was like going over some techniques, and I'm like, this is great. He already has a mentor, and they're already prepping him to be the long-term starting left tackle. But I think so far so good. And a name I want to drop too, undrafted free agent, Efton Chism III from Eastern Washington, undrafted slot receiver. Guys, actually really stuck out. He broke Cooper Kupp's collegiate records, and I thought he was one of the I'd say the rookie stars yesterday. Led all players with 5 catches. Now, the 5 catches came from Josh Dobbs and the third-string quarterback there, but he's going to be a guy to watch in training camp. He might be one of those undrafted finds.
When you see Dobbs, for instance, in like this camp, and it's the first day of camp, does he seem, because of his experience, to be like the most together out of all the quarterbacks, even though he's by far not the most talented? Does he seem to be the most composed and has he seemed to have picked up the system better than anyone else?
You know what? Not necessarily. I think all quarterbacks actually struggled in the first 2 series. Like I had Josh Dobbs like 7 of 13. Like Drake Maye, he was 4 of 8, 4 picks to start. It was ugly, but then he finished like 7 of 8. So the rest of the practice he was money. Josh Dobbs was like 1 of 7 or 1 of 6 to start, and then he finished 7 of 13. So everyone, like, things started slow for the offense. It was like, all right, for like the 4th year in a row, the defense is ahead of the offense where we are. But I wouldn't say he flashed more than Drake Maye. No.
Yeah, it's just interesting because I wonder if you've played in so many offenses, if you just have kind of like an understanding of football that maybe the younger players don't have. But
Yeah, and if
obviously,
anything,
that
he's
is not the
gonna be a
case.
good teammate, so that's what they want.
Well,
for
listen, I mean, they got rid of the future for him. I mean,
Yeah.
they made Milton hit the road, and the next thing you know, he's the next Joe Namath, and I
Yep.
don't know why they allowed that to happen. Joe Namath with good knees, as a matter of fact. All right, look, thank you so much, Mark Daniels. He's going to be at all these practices. He's got it all up there at masslive.com. Mark, you're the best. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, guys. Anytime.
Thanks, Mark.
See you, Mark.
If you like that clip, and how could you not? Check out more videos from Toucher and Hardy here. Point slightly up and to the left. For more Patriots analysis and opinion, hit this playlist. Point slightly down and to the left. And for the latest from the Sports Hub, download at 985thesportshub.com.